Hello everyone, welcome to today's Novedge webinar, an introduction to Contractor's Office estimating software. This presentation addresses how to use Contractor's Office to make your estimating easy and fast and accurate without breaking your bank. And if you're a mid-size or small residential contractor or a commercial contractor, this will be useful to both. Let me introduce you today's webinar presenter. Byron Zaner is also the founder and CEO of PrioSoft, which provides Contractor's Office. Byron's background consists of many years in the software business and the last 25 years of applying their expertise to the construction industry. Byron designed and implemented the original package and is the main voice of PrioSoft to its audience, providing support and training. Cool. And now let me show you where you can find a Contractor's Office at Novedge, Novedge.com. This is the page. You can check out all the specification, and you can always call us for more information. Novedge is, sorry, I have to go back one page. Novedge is changing the way designers purchase 3D software, offering more choices, more freedom, best advice, faster service, and most importantly, no headaches. Check us out at Novedge.com. Now, without further ado, I'm going to share Byron's screen so it can show you how Contractor's Office works. This is the first time with the webinar with Byron, and this is a new entry for our catalog, so we're very excited to see what Contractor's Office is all about. Just a couple of seconds so we can see. Okay, Byron, we can see your screen. Take it away.
One second, we're having a little bit of trouble.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm having to, I guess I'll have to do it this way. So we'll do this. Okay. Contractor's Office. First thing you're going to see when you launch Contractor's Office is the new company setup to-do list. It's really introductory. So it's a link to the training videos on our site, a link to the manual that comes with it, where you'd enter all your information so it appears on top of the output forms. Employee serves two purposes. One of them is if you would like to lock the system so you need an ID and a password to get in. The other one is if you want to charge hours against employees. Set up your email, very easily set up your email stuff here so you can send emails through the system. And you can have a automatic signature that goes out with them. It handles Canada and the US. So it handles the taxing structure for Canada as well as that for the US. Set up sales tax, this is the US version. And backup. Contractor's Office backs up your data every time you exit the software. So you have a unique backup every time. Right now it's set at the C drive, so what you would normally do when you're setting up your system is either set it to a flash drive or an auxiliary hard drive so that you're backing up to a different drive. Okay, there are two things that I want to cover first before we get into the estimating. Number one, I'm going to go to settings and we'll go to construction. It comes with a residential database as well as a commercial database. Right now, the only thing that's on is the residential. We can go back into the commercial after we go through some stuff on the residential. We interface with a number of systems. It's a takeoff system, active takeoff, Builder Trend for project management, CADSoft for BIM, Charge Pro for people who would like to take credit cards through the system, JobView, QuickBooks and Sage 100 for accounting. So 2 ways to start an estimate. And I'm going to go through it from the residential side, and the system's going to operate the same whether you use the residential database or the commercial cost database. So first way, click on contacts. This is where there's a full CRM. This is where you have your customers and your prospects and all the other people in your contact database. This is also where you have your subs and vendors. You can add a contact. You can find a contact searching by these. You can list the contacts, double click on the one you want. However you get the one you want to do an estimate for on the screen, just click on Estimates and add an estimate. You can have as many estimates as you need for a contact. Second way is to click on a new estimate. It's asking you to find the contact or add the contact to the new estimate, and it will add the estimate. I'm going to add the contact. You can add all this information. The minimum requirement is a job description and either a person's name or a company name. So we're going to have an estimate for John. So here's that estimate. That number is the number that's going to appear in a quote you hand to somebody. You probably don't want the number 1. It's an 8-digit field. You can change to whatever number you like. It'll automatically increment from wherever you start. Scope of work, the textual overview of the job. We're going to do this. We're not going to do that. Library gives capability of building a library of paragraphs to use frequently that we don't have to type them over and over again. Things like unknown and unknowable, or code standards, or anything else that you want to have as your standard paragraphs that you just right-click and copy, right-click and paste, and you can edit it over here. You can use as many of these paragraphs over here. So we're going to save this one for this estimate. The next thing is to add items to this estimate, and you can do it by creating them from scratch, adding from the database, or adding from templates. I'm going to add from templates. Now, these templates are residential templates, the ones that come with the system. You can add your own very easily. Just click on Add, give it a name, and save it. Add items from the database or create them from scratch. 3 general types of templates. A pick list. I want that, and I want that, and I want that, and we'll select it for the estimate. What I call a reminder list. There's no such thing as a standard kitchen remodel, but there are things you don't want to forget when you're doing one. One of the biggest problems that contractors have is I forgot. And when you forget it, you eat it. Well, you don't want to do that. So you want all the things that you might forget in this kind of a template so that you at least see them when you're doing the estimate. Then to kind of use over and over again as is. Every time we do a pressure treated deck, we do that. We may do many other things around it, but we do that every time. Then let's just say you do that. Having a template is going to make it faster, but you can make it even faster. If you notice what I'm checking here, I'm checking all the things that comprise the roof. And I'm going to assign them to a group. And let's see, roof. So now I have a subset of that template called roof. I can do the very same thing with the foundation, the exterior walls, all the groupings that I want. So I set up the template with all those groupings so that I never have to do that in the estimate. It goes with the template every time. Now I'm just going to do a kitchen remodel. If I check nothing here and click on select for estimate, it takes everything. If I check anything, it only takes what's checked. So I'm going to check nothing and say select for estimate. This window with all the groups pop up because I have this switch turned on. Always present that. Now, a group is whatever you want it to be. In this case, groups are rooms. They could be anything at all. They could be things that do not appear on the quote, as well as things that do appear on the quote. So you see that yes or no if they appear on the quote. So I'm going to put it in the kitchen. And I'm going to do a bath remodel and select for estimate and put that in the bathroom. And I'm doing another bath, so I'll use the same template, but in this bath, I don't need these things. And I'll select for the estimate and put that in bathroom 2. So now I have 3 rooms from 2 templates. And when I click on Save to Estimate, I'm going to save all the items I selected into the estimate. And I have the total hours, the labor cost, material cost, total cost price, gross profit percent for the whole estimate, given unit values. And let's work on the kitchen first. So now I'm looking at just the items and summary information for the kitchen. And I don't want that sink. So I'm just going to check it and delete checked. And I want to add other items to the kitchen, so I'll click on Add from Database. In this case, it's a residential database. And I'm going to say I want to replace that kitchen sink, so kitchen plumbing and kitchen sink stainless steel, and I want that one. And I need a ceiling fan, so ceiling fans, and I'll take that one. And I need outlets and switches. So I'm just building a list of all the items I want in the kitchen. And when I finish building the list, I click on Save to Estimate and put them in the kitchen. Eventually, I have everything I want in the kitchen, so I'll come down here and say the kitchen is and as I enter the measurements, it calculated these. So when I click on Apply, it applies those values to those quantities. And I'm going to double click on that item. This item came from a template, but originally came from the database, and everything in the database is at unit level. So painting drywall, the unit measures square feet, the labor for 1 square foot, the materials for 1 square foot. 732 square feet gives us these totals right here. You can change anything in here. You can discount these components. You can add a waste factor to the materials. If it's subcontractor equipment, you can add the insurance. You can tack any component. So let's say we made a change to this item for this estimate. And as we're making that change, we realize that change needs to be reflected in the database also. All you have to do is turn this switch on before you click on Save, and save it to the estimate and the database. When I clicked on Apply, it applied to the room. Obviously, it's not going to apply to the cabinets or countertops. It's also not going to apply to demo items. The theory is that demo measurements and stall measurements are normally not the same, so it doesn't do that. But let's just say that I'm right there. We're going to remove the flooring. Well, I would say that 80% of the time you remove the floor you put back is going to be the same size. So we always want to save time. So in the future, when I use that item, I want whatever's in here to apply to it when I click on Apply. So I'll go to the database and general demolition and flooring demolition. And that item is this one right here. All I have to do right now is say, in the future, apply ceiling and floor measurements to this item. So in the future, that'll be taken care of for us. While I'm here, I'm going to click on factors. This is how we keep our database accurate. I'm going to select the place, and let's say it's in Nevada, where we are, Las Vegas. So these are these numbers we get from a company that does all the research. And how they do the research is they research 50 different cities across the country. And then they apply those numbers through a set of algorithms to 500 cities, the list we were just looking at. Well, you and I both know that if you go from one Home Depot to another in Las Vegas, these prices are different because every store has its own cost of doing business. And they change during the quarter. In addition to that, that number is a combination of the hourly rate plus the burden. And everybody's burden is different. So the numbers that we get from the people who do the research can only be ballpark. It's not that they could give us better numbers and they don't. It's they can't give us better numbers. That's the best they can do. So what we've done is added to that. So calculate burden and autofill, and this is your burden for one generic individual. So you're setting up the template with the burden, and you fill the blanks that pertain to you using these formulas and data. And then for each of these labor types, you put the hourly rate there, you click on autofill, it gives you a number down there, and you click on apply. Labor rates don't change very often, so that's a once-a-year task. Once a year, you change or you look at 12 labor factors and make sure they're correct. Once a month, you click on print and material survey, and you take this to your supplier, and you fill in these 17 blanks. And then you come back and you update those items here, just double click, change it, and save it. And when you're all finished, you have an original number and a current number that are different. And they're different by some percentage. So when we click on Update Database, it updates the database and the templates by those percentages. And how it works is every item in the database has either labor or materials or both, and each of them has a cost, a markup, and a price. And labor has the hours for one of whatever the unit measure is. They also have the factor that influences them. So when we went from national average to Las Vegas, the carpenter factor changed, therefore they changed. The lumber dimensional factor changed, therefore they changed. So that keeps your whole database accurate for you. So I did not update the database with that automatic for this before, so what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to copy that and I'm going to paste it up there. And right now I'm just going to copy that and paste it up here and go through here making sure the quantities are correct. And when I'm finished with that room, I'm going to do the very same thing in the other two rooms. And when I'm finished, I go back to overall job. My next concern is right here. I'm looking for a 35 to 40% gross margin, and I'm not close. So I want to find out where I'm losing a margin. You can check any group of items. I'm checking some of the demo items here. And assign them to a group. And the group could be called anything. In this case, I'm calling it demolition. So for the group I'm calling demolition, I'm right on target. That's because there's no materials, and the markup on labor across the board is 67%. The item can be in any number of groups, so you can look at the estimates from any angle to make sure you're making money, make sure nothing got left out, you don't have duplicates, apply measurements. Let's say this is a group of items used all the time, same as a template. You can also look at it from a different angle. I want to see all the electrical. And here's all the electrical, and if these numbers are correct, there's a ballpark a sub should be bidding against if you're going to sub it. I happen to know in this particular estimate that the reason that we're here instead of 35 to 40% is that we are supplying the fixtures and appliances. And those are 20% markup items. As opposed to 67% across the board on labor, how materials works is, if the unit cost here is less than $20 like lumber, the markup is 67%. If it's between 20 and 100, it's 40%. If it's over 100, it's 20%. So you're probably not going to get more than 20% on the tub, but you probably can get your 67% installation of it. And if you're looking at this estimate, there's a whole bunch of 20% items here. Kind of hard to make a 40% margin with a 20% markup. So it really is indicative of what percentage of your job is high-dollar material items. I'm going to click on the print button and group reports and quotations about group. Now, this quote is subdivided by group. In this case, it's bathroom, bathroom 2, and kitchen. The groups are going to appear in alphabetical order unless you say otherwise. And the first time through, I'm not going to fool with the switches. I just want to show you the format. And we're going to include the scope. So here is your information from the company record, your customer, your job description, your scope of work, your first group, and your bottom line. This is the basic format. It can be modified. You can move things around, you can change the text, you can put your logo in, make it look like what you'd like to present to your customers. And you can also email it as a signable PDF. This time, I'm going to fool with some switches. Group reports, quotation by group, and I want to see division and division totals, and I want no line items. So you have for each group the divisions and their totals and your bottom line. And this time, I'm going to do the very same thing, except that what I want this time is I want the line quantities to show, I want the group totals to show, and I want the measurements to show. And we're going to include the scope, and here are all the line items with their quantities, the group total. This is what measurements look like if you want them on your quote, and the bottom line and total measurements. And I'm going to go back to that screen, and basically we're going to look at this from a different angle. We're going to say we have different kinds of customers. We are in situations that are different. We are in competitive situations. We're in non-competitive situations. A mix of these switches will produce the quote that's specific to that kind of a situation. So you can present a different kind of quote each time that is right for the customer. Now, if that's not what you want, by group, you can click on Create Quote, and it will create a quote by division. And in this case, we're going to print this and different choices. With these three buttons, you get all the line items. Line total says I want a subtotal for each division. No line total says all I want is a bottom line. All line says instead of that, I want a breakdown of labor, materials, subs, equipment, miscellaneous for each division. And no line item says all I want is division heading and a subtotal for each. And you can modify this format also. So let's take another look here. And I want line totals, and you have a choice whether you want line quantities or not. So you have your division, your line items, and your total. So given what I've just gone through, there are many, many varieties of possibilities to present a quote, one that fits the particular situation. If you're doing a small single invoice job, whether you present it by group or not, I would do one of these. So when you sell it, All you have to do is change it to an invoice. So let's say we sold the job. I'm going to click on Mark as Sold. It marks the date, save the estimate as a budget, and now I'm looking at the actual. So as you're doing the job, you find out that there are 2 of these, and there are 3 of these, and this one takes an extra hour. And you make all the changes as you're going along, and at any point you can click on Print and Budget to Actual, and get it with the cost or without, with the groups or without. And here's our budget to actual for right now. Your budgeted costs, your actual, the variance, what you sold it for, what you should have sold it for, the variance. Basically, how we're doing against the budget at any moment. For people who are in the residential space, we look at one possibility for expanded, invoicing, progressive invoicing, and that's called a draw schedule. And Create a Pay Plan will give you the draw schedule. So we have 3 samples here. You can create your own at a plan, at a draw. Once you have the one you want, you just double click on it. It takes the total amount, divides it by the percentage you've indicated, and creates the draws. You can then create an invoice that has all these line items on it, or an invoice for each of those line items, and a contract that it contains the draw schedule on it. For jobs that last more than a month, for residential, or for jobs that are commercial, percent complete invoicing. So you can say, this is 100% finished, and this is 50, oops, 105. No, I got it. 50 and 40 and 100, and these 4 items got delivered, but I haven't done anything with them. But since they're on site, I get paid for them. So we'll store that, and that, that, and that. And I'll create an invoice with or without any retainage. And now I'm going to go to that invoice. And when I print this, what I get is your AIA billing, your detail, and your application for payment for this period. And next period, I'm going to go into here, and everything I've done is in previous. You can at any point create a done to date report that you can hand to your customer. Now, let's talk about commercial. And we'll take a look at the commercial database. So it looks like a CSI database. So we have finishes and so it's a complete commercial database. And if we were going to, let's go to here, go back to there, and I'm going to go to the sold job. And I'm going to add a new job. And it's asking me, is it a residential job or is it commercial? I'm going to click on commercial. So now when I add from database, what we get is the commercial database. So operates exactly the way I was operating before, but it's the commercial database. This is a time for questions.
All right, Byron?
Yes.
Hi. So we have one question. Can you calculate quantities of steel bars?
I'm more in, the answer is no. It's going to calculate the measure of the usage of steel bars instead of the number.
Okay. Okay. That's the question I have so far. I think it looks like you thought of everything else, but we'll be here for more questions if you guys want to ask away. This is the time. And in the meantime, if you are done with the demo, I can take the screen back while we wait for other questions and remind everybody again where they can find Contractor's office here on Novedge.com. And you're welcome to explore and look at the specifics. This webinar, of course, will be posted online later on, so you can share it with coworkers, bosses, and see what you think. Seems like such a useful tool, and I hope you found the demo as enlightening as I did. And now looks like there's no other question, Byron. So I urge everybody to check it out at Novedge.com, because Novedge is changing the way designers purchase 3D software. We have choices. We give you advice. The service is super fast. And I also want to remind everybody that's where you can find our recording of today's webinar on Vimeo and YouTube. Thanks again for joining us. Thank you so much, Byron. And looking forward to, have another demo again in the future. Anything else you want to add?
Not really.
Okay, cool. Thanks again for joining us today. Have a great rest of the day. Bye-bye.
Thank you.